Hi, I'm Jackie from Absolute Corporate Events, better known as ACE. And over the next few weeks, as we come out of lockdown after a long 100 days, I'm going to be speaking to some of my industry friends about topics that I hope will be of interest. Today, we're going to cover exclusive use. So I'm speaking to my good friend, Paul Hutton.
I'm Paul, and I'm the director at Amplified Hotels. We're a small hotel representation business based in London. We work predominantly with international hotel brands, and the brands we work with, actually, they've got quite a lot of options in their portfolios for exclusive hire, and I would say we do quite a lot of exclusive hire bookings. Actually, it's probably a bit of a niche of ours.
Okay, so I'm thinking in the light of COVID, a buyout on exclusive use is quite a desirable option. It offers more of a biosecure, safe environment.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I think exclusive hire has always been something that's quite desirable anyway. But I think the reasons why have become much more forward since COVID. I mean, firstly, you're getting a much more private environment. It's obviously much more secure. And I think that the most obvious thing is you're the only group in the hotel or in the resort or in the convention centre. So you're not running the risk of, running into groups of individuals from other parts of the world or other parts of the country. You've got the entire place to yourself. And obviously you've also got the entire focus of the hotel's team on you as well. So I think all those reasons that made it a good, desirable thing to have anyway have really kind of come into focus now.
I think one of the burning questions, and one for me, is always cost, because I think the perception with a buyout, as we call it, or exclusive use, is that you have to pay for the entire hotel, the revenue that they will have lost from all the outlets, including F&B and leisure environments. So are they being more flexible?
They're not necessarily anyway going to charge you for 100% of the hotel, but they're going to charge you for, they're going to look to cover what they would otherwise have lost. I think one of the ways that you can really advance your case is talking to the hotel about all the ancillary revenue that you're going to bring. So think about, the dinners you're going to have with your group, any team building activities, the meeting space that you're going to have. Because if the hotel was only expecting to sell bedrooms over those periods, then that's already extra revenue. To answer your question, I think probably yes, there's probably going to be a bit more flexibility moving forward. Obviously, it's still got to be viable for the hotel, and they'll always be looking at, obviously making sure that it's viable for their operation. But I think you're probably right that hotels will probably be a bit more keen to target that market now, and there will probably be a bit more flexibility when quoting for these kinds of groups. One of the things to think about is, when can you organise your group? Because it's always going to be cheaper to privately hire a country house hotel in the middle of February than it is on a Saturday night in June. So that's just another thing to think about when trying to get the best deal.
And I'm guessing they're more willing to negotiate at the moment, because with COVID, we've got social distancing things to consider. So they've also been financially impacted because they've been closed for a period of time. Yeah. And we all know I love a contract negotiation. So I think this is a time now, isn't it, to consider that it may be more financially viable than normal.
Yeah, and especially actually because you mentioned social distancing there, that's a really good point. Hotels can't operate on their full numbers right now anyway. So that's a really good reason why hotels will probably be able to negotiate a bit more on that point. Is
there any particular hotels you want to pinpoint that are able to take maybe those slightly large groups?
Yeah, so we work with, one of the brands we work with is Club Med. So they've got about 80 resorts all around the world. And actually, when it comes to meetings events, they're actually specialising in exclusive hire. Now, you might think it might sound quite expensive, the notion of privately buying out a Club Med resort. But actually, if you think about it, these are seasonal resorts that have much quieter low periods. So, it's not viable to privately hire one of their resorts in the middle of August. But if you think about in the middle of February or in January or over the winter period, these resorts are running on much lower occupancies. So if you can actually go to them and say, okay, we've got 400 people, what can you do? They're actually that's quite a viable proposition to them. So
they're going to listen. And I think everybody's financially impacted. It's about collaboration at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think if everybody's considerate about what can and can't happen and be willing to negotiate fairly, I think there's a lot of options to look at safety in exclusive use, but also more financial viability for some of the corporates. And I think globally as well, people are looking outside of city centres, aren't they? So we've seen exclusive hotels. Danny did a webinar the other day, and getting business from London hotels because they're in the country. So I'm guessing you're saying as well, keep out of the city centres with Club Med properties, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that at least in the short term, people are going to be more reluctant to travel to big city centres. So that's where Club Med resorts, which are out in the countryside, and all kinds of country house hotels and those kinds of properties are really going to be a good option there, because you're not only are you thinking about maybe having a whole hotel to yourself, but you're not having to worry about travelling into big busy city centres, and you're kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
Yes, and if it's in the UK, for example, I know there's Aviemore, isn't there? You've got, I think as well, people can drive, so they don't necessarily need to use public transport, which is another tick box, isn't it? So maybe another consideration.
Yeah, and you obviously tend to have free car parking out in the country as well.
And car parking, yes. Absolutely. So, Paul, you're running loads of webinars, so I think for anybody listening in, they are very good. So if you're interested, please look at LinkedIn and see some of the webinars Paul is putting out there. Thanks very much, Paul. I think it's really interesting how we can look differently at exclusive use properties, particularly those out of city centres.
Yeah.
And if you need any help, I'm here at ACE. We look forward to working together, as we always have.
Yeah, me too. And thanks for all your support with the webinars as well. It's been great to see you guys coming on board with them.
Yes, well, knowledge is key, isn't it? So it is important to upskill in these difficult times. And glad we're all coming out of it after 100 days. And
it feels like it
again very soon. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Jackie.